Chief Economist Asia Pacific at Natixis, joining us live down in Taipei, where she is back from, I think, more than a month over in Europe, Alicia. So you're in a good position to talk to us about what's going on in France. The way I think about it initially, after the first round, it was, oh no, the far right. After Sunday's vote, now markets are thinking and analysts are thinking, oh no, left. Because I take a look at their economic program, I'm not sure it's any less worrying. They're looking to raise wages, lower their retirement age, reintroduce a wealth tax, and freeze the price of energy as well as gas, which leads me to ask, the big question, and that is, I mean, this, global central bankers just met in Sintra in Portugal, right? Is the ECB going to have to step in to bail out French bonds?
Well, let me start with the good news. We do have a mechanism. I wouldn't call it bailing out, but this is the anti-fragmentation mechanism that the European Central Bank introduced a while ago. Think in Italy, if you recall, because we were really worried about the far right in Italy. And anyway, long story short, the mechanism is there, and it's really... because it's there, the market knows it's there, number one. Second, it's automatic. You don't need to say, oh, because far left in France. So that takes away a lot of pressure from the market. That doesn't mean that we might not go back to at least 80, maybe max 100 basis points, in my view, of basically yield differential, sovereign yield differential against France. Especially at the beginning, because as you rightly point out, the program is quite scary, especially because France is second after Italy in terms of fiscal deficit, and it risks being open an excessive deficit procedure, which would be very costly for France in terms of having to introduce a drastic correction in its fiscal stance. So that's all in there. But I don't think, and this is thanks to the anti-fragmentation mechanism, that this sovereign yield will go beyond 100. That I think is to be ruled out at the current juncture.
Alicia, comparing and contrasting France and the UK, I don't know the answer to this. I'm sure you do, so I want to run this by you. For the leftist alliance, one of the other things they want to do, in contrast to the far right, is they are not going to cut immigration. Right. How important is immigration to French growth? I know whereas the UK is concerned, what little growth they have been able to generate, a lot of that has been because of immigration.
Well, yeah, that's one of the positives. So I'm happy that you're pushing towards a story that is more positive in as far as we actually have positive examples of this type of governments in France in the past. We had cohabitation with Jospin and Chirac, and everybody feared that cohabitation, and it actually worked out fine. So you're right that on the immigration side, this is slightly good news, and I think, frankly, this might be also why they've won so many seats. If you think about it, yeah, I think that the very large. Basically, people coming to vote this Sunday, we need to think what has happened here. Probably immigrants in France, many of which, of course, voters, probably have realized what the risk they were running, and they've run to vote, exactly that. So I don't think that policy will be changed in France. I think it will be quite pro-immigration. There's other things, though, pro-Palestine, by the way, and this brings other issues in terms of the European position on Gaza. There's a lot of political issues there that I think are relevant. Immigration for Europe, Gaza for Europe. But on the economic side, this is really not aligned with Europe, as I was explaining. So, but again, they do not have full majority. They need Macron's party. And I think Macron will be adamant that the fiscal stance needs to stay at bay.